ライザのアトリエ、常闇の女王と秘密の隠れ家。
Good evening, and, well, wherever it is in your side of the world. Hello. My name is Nikita, and today we are playing Atelier Ryza, Ever Darkness and the Secret Hideout. This is also my first Let's Play. And in case you don't know what a Let's Play is, it is an attempt to show off as much of the game as possible, and to make it as entertaining as I can make it, using editing to increase the flow, and a bunch of other things. So tonight, today, this morning, wherever you're watching this, you're going to be enjoying Atelier Ryza. I fell in love with the series a long time ago, and I never really had a name until Recital told me about the Atelier games. But back then, I actually didn't really get a chance to play it because of how expensive gaming can be, so I wasn't able to afford games.
Ryza no Atelier, 常闇の女王と秘密の隠れ家.
So this is my first time actually being able to Let's Play something that has been funded by my community of spirits. Without further ado, let's begin. We'll be playing Atelier Ryza on the normal difficulty, when that option is available to us.
なんてことない島のラーゼンボーデンっていうなんてことない村。そこでなんてことない私は暮らしている。なんてことない日々を変えたいと焦がれながら。
A boat? Imagine what you can do on a boat. We're currently playing this game on the Nintendo Switch. There was a Atelier sale. I'll get that name right eventually. It was an Atelier sale on the Switch recently, so I was able to pick up Atelier Ryza 1 and 2 for pretty cheap. This is a Koei Tecmo published game, so a lot of the DLC of the game makes up the bulk of the price. There is a full game here, but there's a lot of DLC added to the game after launch, including a series of updates that improve the quality of life. Atelier Ryza is a part of a long-running series of games about alchemy. And Atelier Ryza is the most recent trilogy planned.
痛快で素晴らしい計画を実現するために
In December of last year, Atelier Ryza 2 came out.
歓喜も迫る青くて深い夏の空は絶好の冒険日和だ。
So, I thought maybe let's start with the first game, and attempt to try the other Atelier games when we get to that crossroad.
お父さんが毎度麦の気持ちを考えろって言うからついあたし麦じゃなくて人間だよって答えて。
分かってるよ。母ちゃんの方に怒鳴られたんだろ。おっかねえからな、ミオさん。
Imagine having to work for a living.
そんなことより見てよ、ほら。少しは意味がわかりそうな図入りの本があったんだ。
また、せっかく古い本が地下で山積みになってても書いてある文字が全然わからないんじゃね。
しょうがないだろ。
I also apologize if I skip this dialogue sooner than usual. I don't understand any Japanese. This is Tao Mongarden. He is
それ
a
でも解読しようと食い下がる執念には感心するよ。
very learned and
せっかくの本が
scholastic?
汚れてるじゃ
I
ん。
don't know the proper word. Before I embarrass myself, I'm not even gonna try. Very smart person. But Lent is a bit more of a
ゴー
warrior.
ストランバーに見つかってさ、足を引っ掛けられた弾みで泥の中に。
あいつら威張り散らすだけならまだしもしつこく嫌がらせまで。
村の尊厳を握る有力者様のお坊ちゃんだからな。村の奴らはそりゃ誰も逆らえねえよ。
やめこんな話。今日の議題は島の外への冒険計画でしょ。
A mainland
自分
adventure,
が農
huh?
作業の愚痴を言い出したくせに。
怒るライザに触るな。島の外といえばよそから商人が来るのは今日だったんじゃないか。
そうだね。
Interesting arm gauntlet. He only has like 2 finger slots. I'm guessing that's intentional?
外の商人か。私たちも行ってみようか。
は？
その商人の到着を私たちも見に行くのよ。どうせ対岸の船着き場で長々と手続きするんでしょ。
I mean, anything to get out of an ordinary life, right, Ryza?
本当に対岸に渡るの？そんなの聞いてないよ。
何言ってんのよ。今日の議題は何だった？島の外への冒険計画。
Oops. There it is. I guess it's pretty boring around here, huh?
なんか火がついちまったな。こりゃマジで島の外に出ないと収まんねえぞ。
冒険計画なんだから、まずじっくり計画を立て。
船着き場に行ってこっそり小舟を借りて対岸の船着き場の近くで降りる。以上。
Well, easier said than done.
こうなれ腹をくくって付き合うしかない。
さあ、だらだら話してる暇も惜しい。冒険を決行するよ。
待ってよ、ライザー。
Alright, well, guess we're on our way.
待ちなさい、ライザー。またレントとタオを巻き込んでろくでもないことやろうとしてるわね。
Hi, Mom.
お母さん？まだ何もしてないよ。それじゃあね、レント、タオも早く。
失礼します
しまーす。
こーら、たまにはお父さんの農作業手伝いなさい。
Well, I mean, we do have things to do. Alright. Ryza's room is the foundation of the game. Here is where you can save and load your progress. You can also rest in bed, which moves forward time to any section of the day, which is actually kind of important for questing later. Difficulty very easy has been unlocked. With very easy, the HP of bosses is even further decreased, and colon XP gained from battles are increased. And photo mode has been unlocked. In case we want to take fancy pictures later. A lot of this stuff was added in post-release. And some of these things aren't even in the original game. Or, not in the original game. In Atelier Ryza 2, because Atelier Ryza 2, as of this recording, came out about 4 months ago. But as you can see, we're playing on the normal difficulty. And it's just very baseline. Enemies deal 1 times damage. And give out a normal amount of XP and coal. So we will be grinding a little bit in regards to a couple of necessary adjustments. While on the map, you can move around with the left stick and rotate the camera with the right stick. And you can hold the R button, R1, RB, whatever you want to call it, on your controller to run. There is a toggle option, but I have that off, because running does make it a little harder to avoid encounters later.
お前な、簡単に言うけど分かってんのか？小舟をこっそり借りるだけでも大変だぞ。
そうだよ。特にアガーテ姉さんにだけは絶対に見つからないようにしないと。
Agatha?
守り手の中でも特に私たちにうるさいからね。大丈夫大丈夫、そうそう簡単に。
ああ、それで構わない。船着き場の方の手配は終わっているな。
モリッツさんの指示でやりすぎなくらいにな。大商いは第一印象が大事とかうるさいのなんの。
こんな田舎の村に第一印象もないだろうに。ま、
Hi,
こ
I
れも
love your
来客を
design.
もてなす一環か。
The hair clips are super nice.
船着き場がどうこう聞こえたよ。まずい、まずいよ。
確かに、守り手は村の警備が仕事だし、
Well,
アガーテ姉さんが
not
船着き場
even
にいるのも。
12 minutes in and we're already inciting chaos.
島の外への冒険もいきなり頓挫か。
These are just children we're talking about, though.
うーん、
Everybody has that rebellious phase,
諦め
right?
てなるもんか。
奥の手？
もう諦めて帰ろうよ。
いや、このまま帰ってもお母さんに怒られるだけだもの。それならせめて冒険しなきゃ、私の丸損じゃない。
Is that how this works?
どういう理屈だよ。
こっちよ、二人とも。アガーテ姉さんに見つからないようこっそり急いで。
どこへ行くのさ。
この前、
I mean,
家の近くで秘密
I guess if you're going to be arrested, then you might as well.
火のために用意されたよ
Like,
う
if
な
you're
場所
being arrested for stealing from a convenience store, you might as well just eat a bunch of stuff in the convenience store,
最初から
right? Is that how felonies work?
いいから早く。
I'm still not too sure about the human side of things. I just assume that law is lenient, but it's probably not. Probably the complete opposite where you're from. Atelier Ryza has a huge open world full of fun enemies and a bunch of other random encounters that we'll be dealing with in short time. The meat and bones of the game doesn't really start until a bit later, but there are a ton of different areas full of fascinating materials and enemies to fight, and as best as I can try, we are going to go for 100%. So, if there are some issues, then I will try my best to adjust for them. But it can be a little difficult because 100%ing the game requires going through one of the DLC areas, known as Sanctuary Island. And Sanctuary Island is an extra difficulty area that has a lot of enemies that just hit like a
我
truck.
が秘密の船着き場はちゃんと小舟もあるでしょ。
Sure.
まあ、あるにはあるな。随分とボロっちいんだ。なるほど。それで最初からこっちを使わなかったのだ。
Hmm.
こんなオンボロで本当に対岸まで渡れるの？
つうか
I'll get better at
秘密
taking these messages
おさん
soon.
どもが釣りの時に使ってる場所じゃねえか。
だから小舟も最低限のオンボロしかないんだ。
ああ、もう男二人でグダグダと。冒険なのよ、冒険。今行くと決めなきゃ何も始まらないでしょ。
まあ、そりゃそうだ。
I mean,
僕はそもそもあんまり気が進まない。
but imagine all the amazing
ま
books
ずは
you'll
海
find.
岸に渡るところから冒険は始まるんだ
There's stuff that they won't teach you.
村の連中が近づかない場所に挑んだり街道をたどって先の先まで進んだりみんなが怖がってる街道の西側にも入ったり
あの辺りは禁足地じゃないか。危ないし怒られるだろうし絶対ダメだよ。
Why would we even
何
go
言って
there?
るのよ冒険ってのはそういう場所をあえて踏み越えていくもんでしょう
Mm,
それに北の山の果てに
adventure usually requires that you don't die.
行けたら面白そうじゃない
Heroes don't die on an adventure, they die ever.
でしょレント
ああ冒険して強くなって俺の実力を村の奴らに認めさせるそれが俺の夢だ
I guess that didn't take that much convincing, Len.
レントまで燃え上がっちゃった。これは僕も行くしかないのかな。
I mean, you do have a choice, you can go home. Don't fall into peer pressure, Tao.
分かったら行くわよ大いなる冒険の旅へいざ出発
Uh-huh.
なんてことない私は今日ついに一歩を踏み出す当たり前の生活にないものを求めて島の外へ
Well, don't look all bummed out, Tao. At least you'll get to enjoy the nice water breeze. I think this is a lake, it's not an ocean. You'll be able to enjoy the nice, cool breeze. Should be fine, don't worry about it.
噂の商人さんはまだ来てないみたいね
Hmm?
そうみたいだなどうするんだ来るまでここで隠れて待ってるか
I don't think that's a
何
great
のんきな
idea.
こと言ってんのよ商人を見に行こうとは言ったけど一番の目的は違うでしょ
なんだっけ。
I mean, it was to have an adventure, Tao.
もう島の外への冒険だよせっかくなんだから冒険しようよ
冒険ったってどこに行けばいいんだよそのまま
はい
街道をたどっていくか
Having an adventure is what this is all about. I don't know what's going on.
それもいいけど守り手の誰かと鉢合わせになってお母さんにバレる可能性が
More importantly, you don't want Mom to find out.
あそこから森に入れそうじゃない行ってみようよ
あそこは確か小妖精の森とか言ったっけど
You know, a name
初めての冒険にはおあつらい
a name like that, I suppose. Yeah, it is a good first adventure.
本当に行くの？やだな。きっとろくでもない目に遭うよ。
I mean, take a look at the other paths. The rest
そ
are
んなの行ってみなきゃわ
look
から
more
ないじゃない
dangerous. At least a forest is
大丈夫
nice.
早速冒険だ
Hmm. Alright, on we go. Pixie Forest is going to be our first little exploration area, and there's going to be a lot of stuff that we can't do until we have access to certain things later. As a matter of fact, we're not even going to be able to do half of what this game's capable of on our first visit to anything. We'll have to be very patient for certain materials. I haven't really had a chance to talk about the alchemy system in this game because they take about an hour to get to the point of alchemy. I say an hour, and that's like at most. Watching all the cutscenes and stuff, it'll probably take about 45 minutes to get past the quote-unquote tutorial
こん
section.
なに近いのに村の人は誰も入らないんだよね。
そう怯えるなって船着き場の真横だぞどうせ弱い魔物しか出ないさ
冒険の第一歩からそんなじゃ先が思いやられるわね
わざわざこんな怖いことやってるの村でも僕らだけなんだろうな。
Exactly. Gotta be the only ones.
これが冒険に挑むってことよ。さあ、いつまでも喋ってないで出発よ。
Hmm.
おう
Okay. Hello.
出たわね、魔物。
本当に魔物だ。本当に本物の。
当たり前でしょ。これから嫌ってほど出会うわよ。
腕試しだ
Okay.
行くぞ
Time for our first battle as a party.
さあ行くぜ
Hello. Arya here. Nikita worded this explanation terribly, and it's better to explain more in depth. So let's talk about the combat of Atelier Ryza.
気をつけて戦わないと。
Atelier Ryza functions on a hybrid turn-based combat system. Similar to active time battles from Final Fantasy, all units take turns when their icon reaches the bottom of the timeline. By pressing the shoulder buttons, you can switch between party members. And you can change your enemy target by pressing left or right on the D-pad. When your turn is active, the combat continues to play out. So the key is tracking the timeline to keep an eye on when you need to switch party members. When a party member completes a basic attack, action points, or AP, build up until the bar maxes out, where you can then level up your tactics. Tactics levels increase how many basic attacks you can do by pressing attack at the right time. Tactics also improves certain skills, like Ryza's Summoning Star dealing more stun damage. Skills are character-specific abilities with certain traits. However, while standard attacks are free, skills cost AP to use. This is also where the Tactics mode comes in. While in negative mode, any party members you aren't controlling will do regular attacks to build up AP. Switching to aggressive mode makes the party use skills. Now, buckle up, because it's time for advanced strategies. Action orders. As combat progresses, non-active party members will suggest things for you to do. Completing these requests triggers an action order, which is a powerful skill that can only be activated in this way. With all units in battle, they have two bars, an HP bar and a stun bar. If a party member's HP is reduced to 0, they are knocked unconscious. When all party members are KO'd, you are returned to the Atelier and lose some of your items that were gathered. If the stun bar is reduced to 0, the unit enters a stun, where their turn is delayed until they recover. If the stun bar is reduced to 0 again while in recovery, they will break, and their turn will pause until the stun bar resets again. While in stun or break, using a quick action when you have 10 AP will change action orders to extra orders. This also activates when a strong enemy or boss begins to charge a powerful attack. Extra orders are powerful skills that can be used over and over again, as long as you have the AP to burn on extra actions. Building your tactics to level 3 and maxing out your AP allows for 3 possible extra orders. Later on in the game, you'll unlock the Fatal Drive, which opens up as a skill when you hit Tactics level 5. This is akin to Final Fantasy VII limit breaks like Omni Slash, an ultimate move only that character can use that are complete 30-second spectacles that deal ridiculous damage. Mastering character switching, tactics leveling, manipulating weaknesses, and using action orders are the key to surviving combat, especially in the late game, or the extra difficulty area, Sanctuary Island. There is one last part of combat we haven't touched upon, and it's related to the alchemy we'll cover later. Items are Ryza's personal creation, which use a core crystal to be used infinitely. Attaching these to characters allow them to be used in combat at the expense of core charges. When you run out of core charges, you have to convert an item to gain more until you return to the Atelier. With all that said, it's time to return to the Let's Play. combining between switching party members, changing your targets, and a bunch of other things that aren't even available right now. You can do quite a lot with the combat system that is not really possible in other JRPGs.
生きてる。よかった。
Good job,
こん
Tao.
なことでへばってたらお話にならないでしょ。
Just like any other JRPG, though, enemies are always just out on the field. And they'll be chilling, doing whatever, until you go and attack them. If I just ran into this peony right now, I would go into a battle with 0 AP, the same as I experienced before. But if I attack them before going into a battle, we start with 10 AP, meaning that we can either do an attack right away using a quick action, which isn't available yet, we'll get into that later, or it'll give you 10 AP for you to immediately upgrade to Tactics Level 2. Meaning you can deal more damage right away. There is no defend in this game. Now we're at Tactics Level 3, don't have enough AP to do so until they do their attacks. As you commit to actions and waiting on certain fulfillments, like how I was waiting on AP to fill so I could use my skill, that does affect when your turn comes up. Because, again, the timeline goes in real time. What's this? I guess they won't tell me yet. There are a lot of enemies in this game, and they get progressively more dangerous as things go along, but if we continually get in fights, then we won't need to worry about that too much. Now then, by pressing L and R, I can switch between party members, and all party members have different skills. They don't all just have Summoning Star. For instance, Tao has Dark Hook, which turns his basic attack into a poisonous attack, dealing dark damage. And all characters also perform differently in combat. So Lent has attacks that give more AP because he has multiple strikes, more strikes than the other party members, Tao and Ryza, who only do 2 attacks. He'll do 3 or 4. So combat is mostly going across your party list and using skills when necessary or attacking as certain characters so that you gain certain boosts. Ryza's coming up next. Then Tao. Good fight, good fight. And since there are a lot of enemies all throughout the place, we'll just constantly be getting into fights to get some experience and sort of talk about the combat system more. They'll target Flower Pixie V for now. Any damage that would defeat an enemy carries over to the next one if it exceeds the amount of damage necessary to beat it, which is a really nice thing about fighting. Another thing is that the scales in this game are very flashy and bright, so keep that in mind. But luckily, the Pixie Forest isn't too difficult. Only having to deal with peonies and weasels and flower pixies, not too bad. They just are regular damage to normal attacks and all these other things. Later on, we will have to deal with resistances and weaknesses, or debuffs and buffs, and all sorts of other nuances that make combat more than just press A to win.
おいおい、うかつに走るなよ。魔物に襲われても知らないぞ。
Oh, like that?
ライザー、たく言わんこっちゃない。って。
私はここだよ。
ん？
だよな。 じゃあ誰だ？
どうでもいいでしょ。それより
Well-
も声が聞こえたのは森の奥からだったよね。
あ、タオも行くぞ。
Of course.
待ってよ。
Well, hurry up or you're gonna get left behind.
頼むよ。何も起こらないでよ。
I don't know about that. It sounds like something bad happened already. All these areas are fixed and locked, so you can't just instantly transition to stuff. You have to press A on the level transition, which is good in some ways and sort of a nuisance in others. It's actually kind of nice that I don't have to worry about accidentally going to the wrong area, because it does tell you what it is after you travel to it once. Oh. Well, we've beaten one of those before. Shouldn't be too difficult.
魔物が。
なんか強そうだよ。
襲われてる子を見て放っておけないじゃない。行くしかないわよ。
Mm-hmm.
助けを求める女の子を守って戦うか。冒険の出だしとしては上出来だぜ。
I don't think she's necessarily a damsel, just defenseless. So I don't think
一気にやっちゃおう。
she's running, so she's not terrified, I think. Oh well. I'll just choose Lent. Since this is an activated fight, we don't get any HP bonus to start, but we will get there very quickly. Considering this is just a tougher flower pixie, yeah, we'll be able to end it right. There we go.
さあ、どんどん進も
Now, after every fight, you gain experience and the currency in this game called coal.
う。まだまだ
And coal is used for a lot of things, mostly just buying ingredients and materials. Coal is not really necessary as opposed to a lot of other currencies in the game.
勝てたよな。
Yeah, good job.
なんとかなったよ。
もうほんと勘弁してよ。
あなた大丈夫？怪我とかしてない？
Yeah, are you okay?
助けてくれてどうもありがとう。森で迷ってたらさっきの魔物に。
Mm-hmm.
災難だったね。とにかく森を出ちゃおう。
森を出るってのは大賛成だよ。早く行こう。
そう慌てるなよ。にしても、
I mean, even if we did do well, something stronger could show
女
up.
の子の危機を助けて帰還。レントじゃないけど、まずまずの成果よね。
I mean,
それじゃ急いで引き上げよう。
お、
mm-hmm. At least we can return home. Yeah, this returns back. All throughout the map, we'll be passing by what is known as landmarks, like this lantern tree or the flower, or the flower sanctuary, I believe it's called, that we passed by in the hidden clearing. Or, not in the hidden clearing, but the flower guard's garden.
私はライザリンシュタウト。ライザでいいよ。あっちはレントとタオね。
Mm-hmm.
適当な紹介だな。別にいいけどさ。
私はクラウディア・バレンツ。旅の商人をしてるお父さんについてここに来たの。
Mm-hmm. Claudia Valence.
もしかしてそのお父さんって村にやってくるっていう噂の商人さんだったり？
Oh, well, that just sounds like an odd convenience.
だもな。ところでさ、さっきから大事そうに抱えてるそれ、何なんだ？
Mm-hmm.
これは
言いたくないなら別にいいよ。レントってば無神経だから。
I mean, I wouldn't say that's insensitive, just curious.
お前な。では、前。
Oh, that... I mean, that's just a weasel, right? Yeah, just a weasel with blue stripes.
方が良さそうだ。
Oh! Okay. Cool. Awesome. Alright, well, since we're going to die, since this is a scripted battle loss, losing the battle doesn't result in a game over in Atelier Ryza. When you game over, you're simply sent back to your home base,
くそ、こっちの攻撃が効いてない。
ダメだ。
and you lose some of the materials that you picked up during that journey. Going back to your home base allows you to deposit any materials you picked up, refresh your HP, your stun gauge, and a few other things like items.
いざとなったら俺が食い止める。その隙になんとか横をすり抜けて逃げろ。
そんなことできないよ。
確かにお前程度の腕では食い止めることすらできそうにないな。
I mean...
目をつぶれ。
Oh. Okay, yep, doing it. You don't have to tell me to close my eyes if I don't know you. And that's why. Well, hello?
嘘、魔物が。
あの強い魔物がほんの一瞬で。
これが強い。そう思える程度の腕でよくこんなところに入ってきたな。
いや。Oops.
それよりさっきのドカンってなったの、あれ、あなたがやったんだよね。
あれは錬金術。
Keep skipping. I need to not do that.
簡単なものだから。
錬金術？
Hmm? Alchemy.
悠長に話している場合じゃないだろう。標的をおまけ付きで発見したんだ。船着き場に戻ろう。
分かっているリラ。お前たち、話は後だ。まず森を出るぞ。
Okay, yeah, sure.
分かった。
Yeah, let's just go home. You might have pushed our limits a little bit.
錬金術。あんなすごいの初めて見た。なんだろう、冒険のこと考えるのと同じくらい、今すごく胸がドキドキしてる。
Okay, let's return home. Just an ordinary girl from an ordinary island makes the discovery about alchemy. And it does raise a lot of questions. Okay, well, we're okay on health so far. The flowering, that's what it's called. Probably wouldn't hurt to level up a little bit more, but that can wait until we have a lot more options available to us.
ここにもこの花が咲いているのか。
ああ、ありがたいな。
この花がどうかしたんですか？
こいつは魔物の嫌がる香りを出すんだ。花の周囲にいれば比較的安全と言える。
Oh, so it's like a safe area.
ここなら気軽に休息できるというわけだ。今後あちこち出かけるなら覚えておくといいぞ。
With these kinds of flowers just sitting around, you'll be able to rest, which gives you your HP back and also lets you change the time of day. Certain aspects of the game are affected based on what time of day it is. Mostly just social aspects, though. There are a lot of requests, and many request givers in the hometown of the game don't show up if it's anywhere between 0 a.m. and 5 a.m.
まったくお前たち悪ガキ3人組はどこまで人様に迷惑をかけたら気が済むんだ。
ごめんなさい。
ライザたちを怒らないであげてください。 3人が来てくれなかったら私は魔物に。
そうだな。私たちは駆けつけるのが一歩遅かった。捜索を頼まれておきながら不甲斐ない話だ。
でもすごく強い魔物から私たち全員を助けてくれたのもお二人ですよ。
Well, powerful is a light way to put it.
そうなんだよ、アガーテ姉さん。ドカーンってすごかったんだから。
お前は少し懲りろ。まったく。
Oh, well.
まあ良いではありませんか、アガーテさん。結果としては全てうまくいったのですから。
Okay, well.
お父さん。
ルベルトさん。しかし。
Okay. So that's Claudia's father, Lubart Valens. Lubart?
改めてアンペルさんとリラさん、それにライザ君だったかな。このジャーマ娘を助けてくれてありがとう。時
ごめんなさい、お父さん。
何、構いやしない。ここまで馬車に
I'll learn how to not skip dialogue eventually, okay? Very sorry.
探索と救助の報酬もベッドで受け取っているしな。
Ample Volmer. And Leela Desirus? Okay.
あなたたちも村に用事が。
私たちはクリント王国の遺跡調査をしていてね。この辺りでは
Claim the Kingdom Ruins?
聞いたんだが。
What's so important about ruins?
確かに空間島にはその手の遺跡があちこちに残っているな。村の中にもある。
噂通りか。しばらく滞在させてもらえると助かるんだが。
無理ならこの近辺で野宿するだけだ。
I don't think camp
う
is
ちの村
important.
の大事な客人を助けてくれたんだ。粗略に扱うつもりはない。
Yeah,
ありがとう。
to be fair, it's not exactly good taste for an island to just turn away people that are helpful.
旅先でもみんなこんな感じだよ。世間体って言うんだって。
ライ
Keeping up
ザ、
appearances, huh?
お前は後で説教を追加だ。ミオさん同伴でな。
早速友達ができたようでよかった。短い間かもしれないが、娘と仲良くしてやってくれ。
I'd really rather not. My mom
それで
know.
は村へご案内します。アンペル。
Oh. Well, it's once an ordinary life is about to become something a lot different for Ryza and her friends.
ようこそラーゼンボーデン村へ。私が村の世話役を務めるモリッツ・ブルネンです。
Moritz Brunnen. He's the big shot here, huh?
困ったことがあれば何なりとこのモリッツにご相談を。
よろしくモリッツさん。互いに良い商売ができるよう取り計らっていただきたい。
ええ、このモリッツにお任せを。我が村の空間フルーツを商いたいとのことですが。
ええ、現在
Kurikan
市場に
fruits.
ほんのわずか出回っているものが中央では好評でして、
Mm-hmm.
ここでは
Pictured here.
と呼んでいるのです
Not
が、
Kurikan
中央
fruits.
では流行の
Here's a picture of actual Kurikan fruit. Those are just pineapples.
なんせ
And
この
bread.
空間島独自の作物ですからな。流行の実も商品名としては悪くない雅な響きですが、それにしても中央は首都アスラームバートですか。まさかそんなことになっていたとは。私たちが食べる分の余りを行商人に売っただけだったのですが、わからないものですな。
Mm-hmm.
私はその空間フルーツを流通させるルート作りにやってきたのです。しばらくの間ご厄介になります。
ええ、
Ah, so formal. They're here to establish a trade route, and it's for the gherkin fruit for Ashra and Baird, which is a big city in this game setting. That's a bit out of the way.
私がご案内いたしましょう。なんせ宴の会場は我が屋敷の庭ですからな。
あのお父さんと話してる声の大きな人が村長さん？
村長さんではないけど、村の顔役みたいな。人のいるところに口も手も出してくるやたら偉そうなおじさんだよ。
村長じゃないのに偉そう。もしかしてお金持ちなの？
お金もだけど、どっちかというとお水持ち。
Oh. That couldn't possibly go wrong in any society.
こんな田舎の島だと水を持ってる人が一番。
Although that is pretty normal in society. If you control the food, you control the land. No different than the water in this instance.
すごく綺麗な島だよ。
そうありがとう。ルベルトさんに言われたからじゃないけど。これからよろしくね、クラウディア。
Oh?
こちらこそ、ライザ。
I would be more than happy to have friends. The friend sounds really good right now. Especially a girlfriend. I have a lot of boys that are also friends. It'd be very nice to have a girlfriend. Especially on an island like this, you'd think that there would be a lot more tomboyish women around here, but so far there's only Agatha. Nice to have a change of pace, I suppose. Oh, she is the daughter of the tradesman.
そりゃそうだよ。主賓の娘さんなんだから。
また会う約束はしたんだからいいじゃない。
Yeah, formalities aside, that is sort of an important thing to do, is to make sure that the guest of honor, as well as the daughter, is interested in the place. Otherwise, trade offers would go very wrong.
黒字だよ。大黒字。
Would you?
何？そんなにクラウディアと友達になれたのが嬉しかったの？
まあ、ここじゃ俺らくらいの年の女の子ほとんどいないしな。
もちろん、それもすごく大きいけど。
Oh.
よ、ライザとその他おまけども。
ボス。
誰がおまけだ、誰が。
Well, hi, boss. That is the son of Moritz, and that is Boss's newest friend, Lumbar. Just a great name.
島を出た途端魔物にやられて流れ者に助けられるような恥さらしが一人前に反論か？なんでそれを？
I guess they learned from Agatha.
守り手たちがみんな船着き場でぼやいてんだよ。身の程知らずのバカガキどもがいい迷惑だってな。
痛い目を見てもまだそんな反抗的な態度か。反省もしてなさそうだな、ライザ。いい加減部をわきまえてこそこそ道の端でも歩くよう心がけるんだな。
well...
どけよ。俺たちはこれからモリッツさんの歓迎の宴に出席するんだ。
Have fun. Hope you choke on a Hurricane fruit.
してりゃいいのに。わざわざ島を出たりするから村中に恥をさらすことになんだよ。
ライザ。
つっ ったってねえで帰ろうぜ。
Hmm. Oh well. We'll prove them wrong eventually. One day. Steeple Reservoir. This is the Boden district, which is sort of the big town square. Lovely fountain in the middle. And all this water here comes from the Brunnen Manor, because they have control of all the water here. This is all fresh water. The reason why that water supply matters is because all of the water around this island is salt water. It's just a giant saltwater lake that leads to Kurken Island. So, at the very least, we should return home and go to sleep. Probably wouldn't be too difficult. As long as we sneak in before our parents see us. It's not, unless you're bringing trouble to the island.
そりゃ今の私はなんてことない私だけど、まず最初の一歩を踏み出さなきゃどんな遠くにも行けないと思うんだけどな。
Yeah, I mean, if you stayed here for the rest of your life, you don't know what's going to happen. This is such a...
またレントとタオが来てるわよ。
お邪魔します。
いつもすいません。ミオさん、今日も綺麗ですね。
Well, don't flatter her.
ニュース持ってきたよ。
ニュース？
なんだ、まだしょげてたのか。ボースの言ったことなんか忘れちまえって。
そうだよ。それよりライザが喜ぶと思ってさ。ニュースだよ。いいニュース。
Hmm?
何よ。古い本の図がってのはどうでもいいわよ。
本当に落ち込んでんのな。
Well,
違う。そういう僕の大ニュースじゃなくて、あの二人、アンペルさんとリラさんだよ。
oh,
あの
the...
二人が旧市街に家を借りたんだとさ。場所聞いてきたから一緒に行ってみようぜ。
Well, if they're in Old Town, of course we're going.
とか言ったっけ？興味あるんでしょ？
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
何グズグズしてんの？行くわよ、二
There
人
you
とも。
go. Be cheery. We're gonna learn about alchemy.
元気になったと思ったらすぐこれだ。
Of course.
部屋でボケっとしてるよりはいいだろう。
Oh.
俺たちも行くか。
Yeah, gold has never hurt anyone.
話によれば、ボーデン地区から旧市街に入ったら左手の方らしいよ。
Okay. Sure. The advanced exploration patch has been applied. You can now reach Battle 99. Raising battle level will also boost active skills. This will add some new party quests as well. Complete party quests and raise your level to boost them even further. Legendary difficulty has been unlocked. You can select it after creating a clear save. And on this difficulty level, you'll be cursed at the start of each battle. This permanent debuff will reduce your entire party's defense. To compensate, you'll gain increased coal at the end of the battle. And a bunch of DLC stuff that doesn't matter. Yep. I'll just skip past all this. Besides the shortcut items, what is important is that we now have access to change the costumes of the characters. And there are quite a few options. obviously there are swimsuit options because this is a very anime-inspired game, and there is in fact a beach episode.
どこに行くつもりだい？
Well, where do you think I'm going?
お母さん。
今日は畑を手伝うって約束しただろう？お父さんが待ってるんだから早く支度をし。
まあまあ母さん、そう怒鳴らなくてもライザには聞こえているよ。
Huh. Well, that's Dad, Carl Stout.
あなたがそうやって甘やかすからこの子は。
I mean,
今日は大事な用事があったりなかったりなんだけど。
ああ、やることはたくさんあるぞ。まずは水汲みに畑の水やりからだね。
まずはってだから重労働なんだよ。今日一日くらい畑も頑張ってくれるんじゃ。
ライザ、畑は生き物なんだよ。お前は一日飲まず食わずで頑張れるのかい？
I mean, you got a point there. I'm also... That seems like a very underhanded threat.
そりゃそうだけど。
Sure.
お前には何より真剣に畑と向き合う心が足りない。そこの草むしりをして、あの畝が壊れてるよ。なんて声がたくさん聞こえてくるだろう。その声に応えて畑仕事をして。
I mean, I'm already gone. Dad, we'll have this conversation later, okay?
あなた。
どうしたんだいミオ？
どうしたじゃないよ。またライザに逃げられて。まったく。どうしていつもああなんだろうね。
Well.
まあ、あの年頃の子には畑仕事は退屈かもしれん。だが根気よく説得すれば、いつかきっと。
Yeah, you got a point.
ごめんね、お父さん。私はまだ当分、その境地にたどり着けそうにないのよ。
Well, yep. We're a very ordinary girl, but we have very extraordinary ambitions. So later on, we'll be able to gather water from the stream just down there. For obvious reasons, that will be brought up later. Because, as mentioned before, it does take a little while to get to the alchemy part of the game. But we're nearly there. I promise. So, we've seen most of this town. There's a couple of areas that have not been explored yet. Namely, the area named Trep Hill, which is where the Brunnen Manor stands. We're going to be going through Old Town, the Kurkan Port, or I need to stop rolling that R, the Kurkan Port, and the we're going to be going through Old Town, the Kurkan Port, and the Raisin District quite a lot.
ここで間違いないな。なんだかドキドキしてきたぜ。
Yeah, so am I.
なんでレンとかドキドキしてんのよ。
ライザだけじゃなく、僕らにも期するものってのがあるんだよ。
タオにも？まあいいか。ごめんください。
ん？空いているぞ。勝手に入ってこい。
Awesome.
お邪魔します。
You always say that whenever you're entering someone else's house. If you've been allowed in first, you ask first, and then you say it. Ooh.
3人揃ってお出ましか。こっちはちょうど最低限住める程度に片付けたところだ。
Uh-huh.
こういう作業は面倒くさい。
そう言うな。野宿は好きじゃないんだ。で、そちらは？
Yeah, well, we do have business. If I didn't skip your dialogue, I apologize. Mm-hmm.
リラさん、あの魔物を倒した時のような実践的な戦い方を俺に叩き込んでくれ。
Len wants to be stronger.
クリント王国の遺跡調査をしてると聞きました。それならこの本を読めるんじゃありませんか。
Tal wants to understand these books.
私に錬金術を教えてください。
And Ryza wants to learn alchemy.
どっ から答えるかな。あいにくだが、私たちはそこまで暇じゃ。
どうしたアンペル？
お前さん、この本どこで手に入れた？
どこって地下の書庫に。まさか本当にこれ読めるんですか？
I believe so.
リラ、ここは当たりかもしれん。
Huh. The jackpot, huh?
そこのお前、この近辺の案内ができるなら戦士の心得を教えてやってもいいぞ。
Interesting hair.
本当ですか？やったやります。何でも頑張ります。
I think that's
こ
hair.
こはそっちのジョーちゃんだが、錬金術か。こればかりは教えてどうなるわけでもないからな。
However long it takes.
私も頑張ります。どんなことだって。
You have to be interested in alchemy as well.
ま
By
あ
all means.
錬金術は他の技能と同じように、いや、他よりも如実に素質の有無が成否に直結する。
So it's not just something you can jump into. You have to have a certain
簡単に言えば、いくら努力
natural talent.
素
Thank
質
you.
がなければどうにもならないってことだ。
Of course.
そんな。
I'll give it a try.
逆に言えば、素質さえあれば当たり前にできる。それを確かめて、もし見込みがあるなら。
Well, thanks for giving us a chance.
ああ。だが、素質があればだぞ。お前さんが見込みありなら、私も助かる。まずは、そうだな。初歩的なことから教えるか。錬金術というのは、無より有を生み出す術だ。
Alchemy allows us to create something from nothing. So you can just put stuff together that has the same chemical components,
というか、僕は錬金
like building a rifle.
早く
やはり、いきなり理屈だけ説明しても無理か。
いっそ調合からやらせよう。どう見てもこいつは体で理解するタイプだ。
Yeah,
そうだ
why not?
どのみち素質を確かめる必要がある。お前さん、名前は？
はい、ライザリンシュタウト。ライザです。
Of course.
よし、ライザー。これから私の言う材料を取ってくるんだ。船着き場の近くの森にあったはずだ。
船着き場の近く、魔石の森かな。わかりました。
Of course.
取ってくるのは7
Some-
種だ。
Okay, gather nameless
基
grass.
本は採取と調合。まずはその一つ、採取からだ。
わかりました。やってみせます。
すぐそばの森での採取だぞ。そんな気張るな。
いえ、それでも私の第一歩なので。
ああ、そうだ。そこの小さいの。ちょっと確認したいことがあるんだが、いいか？
Sure, gladly. Yeah. Okay, so we all have our goals then.
でかいの、お前には私からだ。
はい、何でしょうか？
それじゃあ、七思想の採取、頼んだぞ。
Okay, well, while they're talking to everyone, we can go back to the Fairystone Forest to go gather some nameless grass. Oh.
まだ恥ずかしげもなく3人でうろついてるのか。
Well, I mean,
今度はお揃いでどこにお出かけだ？古城の飛竜か乾きの悪魔でも退治に行くのか？
魔石の森よ。
yeah.
近所で冒険ごっこでもするのか。対岸でひどい目にあってさすがに懲りたか。だいたい魔石の森？あの船着き場の近くの広場だろ。あんな場所を森などと言ってる時点で程度が知れるな。
I don't think that's how this works at all,
言
actually.
ってなさいよ。もう構ってやる暇はないんだから。 行こう。
じゃあな、竜や悪魔はお前らに任せるぜ。
なんだあいつら、本格的にいじけちまったんすかね。ボス。
No, we're only taking it as seriously as we need to. Now then, all across the map are these guideposts that we can use to just fast travel to places that we know are on Kirkin Island. So if we go to Kirkenport, we can just go straight to the Fairystone Forest and gather some materials that we do need. Specifically, nameless grass. Gathering is a very important part of alchemy. And in order to make sure that you're getting your absolute best, you have to be the one to get the materials. Or just simply buy them in a store when you feel lucky. Any of these nodes that are glowing blue at the moment are gatherable nodes.
また違う感じがするわね。
採集だっけか。どんなものを取るのかちゃんと覚えてるよな。
Of course.
私のことバカにしてる？
ライザは勢い優先で足元がおろそかってのがよくあるパターンだからな。なあ、タオ。
まあね。
Well,
大丈夫そうならもういいかな。僕アンペルさんから聞かれたことを調べに。
seems more like a park than anything. I don't really think we're in any danger.
俺もリラさんとの戦闘訓練の準備があんだよな。ここなら危なくないし、ライザだけでもやれるだろ。
Yeah, sure.
それじゃあ頑張ってね。
Well, sure, they all have their own things that they want to focus on.
それじゃあ取りまくるわよ。
Yeah, let's gather. If there's something shining in the environment, press A to gather it, or you can go to several different gathering spots using different types of gathering tools to gather this equipment. When we're going for nameless grass, all we really have to do is swing at a bush and we'll be able to get nameless grass. This goes into our items compendium, where we'll be able to find all the items and recipes and also find out where we can gather such things as nameless grass, telling us what suitable items, what type of material it is, if it's used for synthesis, and what type of category and element it's necessary for. This sort of stuff is really important to know if you're trying to make some of the best gear in the game.
よし、これくらいやればいいかな。多分。早速アンペルさんのとこに戻ろう。
I'm obviously going to gather a little bit more because it doesn't hurt to have some spare materials, but I think they just take you back. Yeah.
初めての楽
しかったです。今まで気づかなかっただけで、そこら中に面白いものがあるんだなって。
なるほど。面白いものか。それを感じられるなら、あるいは。
なんです？
いや、もったいぶってもしょうがない。早速ライザの錬金術師としての素質を試してみよう。
You have to have an eye for details, and knowing where you can gather certain materials is really important. So important that Atelier kind of has a nickname around it in terms of having spreadsheets all over the place in order to make sure that you know where all the materials are. It can be a lot, especially when you're looking for hundreds of ingredients. So, what's going on is a material loop. When you add the right items to a material loop, such as nameless grass, it goes into the node that's necessary. So for instance, we know that nameless grass has the key tag plant, and that it uses the wind element. So this can fit into the node, allowing it to convert and fill in other nodes in the tree. When you fill in a certain amount of points, the element value, it adds a new hidden effect to this item. So adding these things to the material loop improves the quality and efficacy of the equipment you're creating. For instance, we're currently making something called a green supplement, which requires nameless grass and things with the tag of water, namely the water that we can gather next to our house. Once the synthesis is complete, you simply throw it in, and turn on the synthesis. And you'll get the final result, a green supplement, which has the effect synth quality +5 on it.
七思想と水を使ってこの中和剤が出来上がるというわけだ。
いきなり今見たばかりですよ。
この程度なら見ようの見真似でできる。素質さえあればな。
So we're gonna create our first neutralizer as an alchemist.
それじゃあ、よーし、これも、これが私の第一歩なんだ。
Yeah, go for it, Ryza. So, as we learned before, to synthesize an item, you need the recipe and an alchemy level higher than the item level. So, the green supplement is a level 1, but because we only are just now starting alchemy, we are at alchemy level 1, which is the gold circle on the right. If you have this amount of quantity, you can see just how many are needed to begin the synthesis. So those 3 dots above choose quantity mean that's how many materials you need to throw in order to create a synthesis. The amount of quantity times we have is the amount of ingredients we can throw into a recipe. All of these ingredients require a material loop and an element value. So, since we have more nameless graphs on standby, we can fill this in with wind element stuff. The material loop's element value is increased by 1, and when we fill in 2 of these dots, we get synth quality +5. And because we filled in 2 nodes where the previous node didn't really need anything extra, the next node required that we had 2 wind in the node attached. So now that we have the quality node open, we can fill it in with clean water, giving us some extra quality. And now that we've filled out all of our quantity and we have those 3 circles filled in, at the bottom of the screen, we can hit OK and officially synthesize a neutralizer. This sort of loop is important for everything. We're pretty much going to be doing this for a majority of the game. This is a core part of the gameplay, is synthesizing stuff to create equipment and gear that allows you to survive against some of the toughest fights in the game, especially when we get to the extra difficulty area later on.
こっちも当たり。いや、こっちこそ本当に当たりか。
それってつまり
素質あり、合格だ。お前さんは錬金術師になれる。
Excellent.
いや、もうすでに錬金術師だ。駆け出しではあるな。
やったー！これからよろしくお願いします、先生。
残念だが先生にはなれない。
Well,
私はお前さんに教えられることがほとんどないんだ。
どういうことですか？
私は怪我で腕を悪くしていてな。初歩ならともかく繊細さを要求される高度な調合は行えないんだ。
そんな、せっかくいろいろ教えてもらえると思ったのに。
そう落ち込むな。素質のある人間なら。
So alchemy is kind of like cooking. As long as you experiment with the right ingredients, you can create recipes all on your own. Just use your imagination.
とにかく今は数をこなせ。何度も調合して慣れれば、そのうちお前さん自身の錬金術も見出せるだろう。
私自身の錬金術。
私も先生は無理だが、助言者くらいなら務まる。だから気軽に頼れ。 敬語もなしでいい。
わかりました。じゃなくて、わかった。改めてこれからよろしく、アンペルさん。
Of course.
そうだ。この本を渡そう。錬金術の基礎の基礎といったものだが、いくつかのレシピが載っている。
Everybody needs a beginner's guide.
いいの？ありがと
う。私にはもういらない本だから気にするな。それより。 乗っているものを片っ端から試して調合になれるんだ。
Experiment, huh?
それを一通り調合し終えたら、次はそこいらの本でレシピがひらめくか試してみろ。
そこいらの本で調合のレシピを？
Yeah.
専門書以外の本も 錬金術師の視点で見ることによりレシピをひらめくことがある。いわば発想の訓練だな。
All it takes is a change in perspective. There we go. Yes. Wise words. Listen to Empo.
この村にも本を売っている店の一つくらいあるだろう。
あるよ。
Yeah.
ボーデン地区にフレッサさんの雑貨屋が。多分本もちょっとは売ってると思う。
ならそこで適当な本を買って目を通してみるといい。
わかった。やってみる。まずはもらった本を家で読んでみてからだけど。
Okay. Then we can go home then. Yes. Then we'll just go back to Ryza's room. And start working on stuff.
錬金術の練習するにしても釜がないとね。釜。
You need a cauldron. Well, a cooking pot should work, right? That's a pretty giant cooking pot. It'll make a perfect cauldron. Although how you got it up here raises some questions. I don't believe that you're... well... You're... actually, scratch that. You're definitely strong enough to have carried that in. Ah, the Atelier.
アトリエってどういう。あ、何このでかい鍋。
アンペルさんに錬金術師として最初にやるべきことをいろいろと教わったんだ。
Everybody needs a first step.
これがこの鍋？こんなのどっから持ってきたのさ。
鍋じゃなくて、
Well.
まあ家にあった鍋だけど、錬金釜。まず何よりも。
Yeah, a cauldron is necessary for alchemy. You can't just use like a workbench. You need the right components, metal parts, oils, screws. You need a lot of things to build a gun. I need to stop thinking of alchemy as building guns. This is totally different. Or is it? Alchemy is not that far from computer programming, is it?
要するに錬金術師っぽいこと始めたと。
二人とも反応薄くない？もう少しこう感動とか関心とかないかな？
They've been working on their own things, Ryza. Yeah. Len's learning how to fight, and Tao is learning how to read ancient text. Not that far off from alchemy. You learning alchemy is probably going to take just as long as these two to do theirs.
みんなやることが見つかったんだ。私も負けてられないな。よーし、まずはアンペルさんからもらった本に書いてあったもの、一通り全部作ってみよう。
That's the right mindset, Ryza.
これくらいなら家の周りでも取れそうな気がするな。探してみるか。
Okay. So with party quests, you'll be able to complete a bunch of little side quests that just happen as you explore in the game. All of these give you certain benefits, such as party quests allowing you to give the character listed certain passive benefits. The beginner's book. Learned how to make an explosive uni, grass beans, and a bomb. And supplements. Okay. So, first things first, we're going to make a checklist of things that we need to do in order to create a recipe. With the auto add and select all list, you'll be able to just start a material loop without having to pick all the ingredients necessary. It'll just auto add materials based on two dynamics, whether or not you have high quality or low quality selected. Low quality makes it so it uses the lowest quality items possible and tries to fill out as much of the grid as necessary, while high quality focuses simply on filling out the grid to get as high of quality as possible. So in order for us to get an explosive uni built, we need to get something with the uni tag. And let's see here, what other ingredients will we need? We need gunpowder and fuel. But odds are we're not going to be able to get that right away. So we'll probably just be able to make a uni. And what other... Well, we already know what we need for that. All of these neutralizers need water. And what else for grass beans? We need medicinals. Okay. Well, luckily there's a lot of materials outside, if you just look in the right places. So if we want to make an explosive uni, we're gonna need to find uni. Oh. Well, first off, there's beehives. Beehives are considered medicinal. And while we're filling out all these items that we're going to be picking up, we will also be completing a party quest for Ryza. These are uni. We're definitely going to need these. And if we need more, we can whack the tree with our staff. Trees take more than one hit unless you charge an attack first. It's the same, you just press Y or square or X if you're on Xbox. Or playing on PC, rather. And you hold that in order to charge it. Okay, we need some rainbow grapes for another thing. Rainbow grapes have multiple different elements tied to them. If we go to our container, we can actually check what items we have. We are currently picking up rainbow grapes with one for ice, lightning, and wind. And we're going to be picking up some fresh berries, some more rainbow grapes. We're going to grab all the nodes that we can gather in the Raisin District, just to make sure that we have all the materials necessary. We got some ton. I'll even go down to the shore to see if there's any seashells I can pick up. I don't think there are around here, but it doesn't hurt to look. The first goal of an alchemist, especially when starting the game, is to learn where materials can be found. Not necessarily the quality of which items can be found. Not until you get to certain criteria. There doesn't seem to be anything we can grab here. There is a fishing spot, but we need to create a fishing rod. You can't just simply buy one, we have to synthesize it. And we don't have the necessary materials to do so quite yet. Nor do we even have a recipe. The same goes with a lot of other nodes that we simply can't collect yet. See, because all gathering points actually have different gathering items based on what you use on it. Well, ones like this, that are simply flowers that you just pick up, won't have anything other than what you can pick. Using a staff on a tree gives you stuff like the uni, but using an axe on a tree gives you logs and lumber. We can crack these open to get some Aisha, some Wasserwheat, and scrap paper. This game has a lot of German pronounced stuff, like Rotswasser. And we can go ahead and just grab some water from the nearby clearing here. Gonna grab a lot of water just in case. Is there anywhere else that we can grab some necessary materials? What are we building first off? Create every item in the book. Synthesize an explosive uni and grass beans. That's a good starting point for anybody. Start with an offensive item. The explosive uni is one. And then the grass beans are a curative or medicinal item that allows you to heal HP. And for the most part, I think we've gotten everything we need. We're nearing carrying capacity, probably at this point. But it doesn't hurt to grab some extra materials just in case. Now that we have all we need, we should go ahead and try to synthesize an explosive uni. Most of this will be sped up in the future because this can take upwards of an hour, depending on what you're trying to synthesize in the first place. But for this, we're going to try to make some simple stuff. And I'm going to show how to do this manually. So we're going to start with the explosive uni. We should have the materials necessary for this. We have some uni with 2 points in it, so we can go ahead and select 2 materials. I'm actually going to sort this by quality. Pressing X allows you to sort by all sorts of things. The data which you picked it up, the guide, which tells you what sort of important items are necessary, the quality, which is the number that you see next to the item, and the quantity, which is in regards to just how much of an item you have. along with the elements that you can sort by.
とりあえず
We're gonna throw
入
in
れちゃうか
2 unis to max out 3 points, and then we're going to go to the gunpowder list for Unispike S.
いいものできそうな予感
And then if we want to add
何を
traits,
入れるのがいいかな
that's something we can put in now. We'll throw in some paper
うわ
in order to get 1 trait
そう
slot.
かな
If your ingredients have traits, they'll be transferred once you throw them in. So all those unis and the scrap paper, they had stuff like the destructive trait and the quality trait. When you get to a trait node that we just put the scrap paper into, it'll unlock a trait slot once you've fulfilled certain amounts of an element's value. This element's value allows you to put in traits. So if we put in both of these, one to improve the additional quality of the item, like so, it'll fill in that slot. Or the item effect increase, like destructive.
これで
If we put these both in, because we only have 1 trait slot unlocked, only the first trait will be active. The rest will be locked until we've opened up the other trait slots. But if we mix this in with other items, then those traits will still be inherited anyways. That's important for later.
うまくいくかな
So we're gonna go ahead and make an explosive
こんな
uni.
感じかな
This is, of course, an equipment item that we'll put in later. And let's see. Hopefully this came out well.
できたでもこれ何なんだろうアンペルさんに教えてもらったレシピだしちょっと聞きに行ってみよう
Mm-hmm.
アンペルさん本に載ってたもの作ったよ
Mm-hmm.
おお、早速作ったか。感心感心。
Yeah, I think this skips ahead because we have grass beans that were given to us from an item pack that's free,
作ったのはいいんだけど
but creating the explosive unit completes it early.
これは外で冒険をするときに役立つ道具だ。
Mm-hmm.
魔物に襲われて怪我をしたときに治す薬、魔物に投げつけて倒す爆弾など、いろいろだな。
あひょっとして私たちを助けてくれた
Yeah, I guess it makes sense. If Empel has bombs, then that makes sense, yeah.
そう、あれも錬金術で作った爆弾の一つだ。
Alchemy-based bombs, as opposed to explosive
安全性
bombs.
も一気に高まる。
そうなんだじゃあ私もじゃんじゃん爆弾投げて大活躍できる
Well,
それもできなくはないが、
hmm.
そうだな。
Yeah, I mean, we're eventually gonna run out.
これは
コアクリスタルという。
Hmm.
お前の
A
作
core
った
crystal.
薬や爆弾は使ったらなくなるよな。
Mm-hmm.
それは
Yeah, because they're only one use.
ところがだな。まずこのコアクリスタルの中に作った道具を入れる。
Mm-hmm.
そしてクリスタルを武器などに組み込んで武器を一振りすればクリスタルの力が解放される。
解放されるとどうなるの
クリスタルに入れた道具を失うことなく同じ効果が得られるようになる。
Okay.
そんな魔法みたいなことが
できてしまうんだ。それがこの
As opposed to a lot of other games in the series, Atelier Ryza adds one gameplay mechanic that is brand new. Using the artifact known as a core crystal, it allows you to continually using... Let me try that again.
とにかくこれがあ
With
る
the core crystal, it allows you to continually use the item without expending it,
そんな
at the
すごい道
expense
具を私の
of using
中
something
に
called
持ってても
core
いいの
charges, which will be another big part of gameplay
これ
later.
は古式器具の中でも比較的多く見つかる。
One of the more common
余ってい
ancient
るものを
artifacts,
分
huh?
けてやるだけだから気にするな。
Mm-hmm.
じゃあ遠慮なくありがとう早速使ってみるね
Mm-hmm. So, in combat, we have core items. What we just built, the explosive unit, is a core item. We put it into a core crystal, and it'll start using core charges. If you run out of core charges in battle, you won't be able to use items. In the equipment menu, you can equip these core items into your slots, and certain characters only have a limited amount of slots to use. That's, of course, based on a few things. If you have healing items, then you can use core charges from inside your inventory by going into your basket. And if you're out of core charges, then in combat you'll have to convert an item into core charges. It'll lock the item from being used until you return to a safe area, like your atelier, and by that result, you'll just get more points to use on your other items. If you really need items right away, though, you can do it all from your basket, which is also really helpful because healing is really hard to do early on. Now, of course, we're going to equip our 2 core items to our inventory once we've made grass beans. We need to go back to our room in order to craft it, though. We have medicinals, but none of these are of any element value, so we'll simply just throw in a random one. As long as there aren't any point requirements on these locks, as long as we put an item into the node, it unlocks the adjacent nodes. I don't have enough for that, but I can add trade slots to this if I want to. Well, it's worth it to just add more trade slots at this point. Just so that we can get critical. Critical level 1 won't be worth too much, and especially the grass beans. They're not the greatest healing item. They're a very cheap one, of course. Hmm?
なんだこの分厚い本。
アンペルさんに教わった文字が表紙に書かれてる本を地下の書庫から見つけてきたんだ。
へえ、
何が書いてあるの？
そう。
さあって。
I mean, it's not like he could have learned everything in a day.
まずはこれを把握するのが当面の宿題ってわけ。
I see.
わかんねえ言葉の辞書を引いて意味があるのか?
Well, to understand basic sentence structure. Yeah. If you're learning any language, you're not going to learn it by just, I don't know, playing a game with Japanese-only voices and trying to learn Japanese that way. You're not going to understand any basic sentence structure, only patterns with which to translate to.
実るかどうかはこれから決まるんだよ。
おお、意気込み十分だな。
Well, I'd be pretty motivated too if I finally had a purpose to all these books I've been trying to read.
意気込みはいいけど、なんで自分の家でやんないのよ。レントまでいるし。ここ、私のアトリエなのよ。
そりゃ、うちでやってたら親がうるさいからだよ。
I mean, who are they to judge? This is still kind of your hangout. Yeah. Why wouldn't you just hang out at a place you usually do?
錬金術師って言っても、そう簡単に暮らしは変わらないか。ま、好きにしてれば。私は調合で忙しいから。
Well.
なあ、調合もいいけど、また対岸に出かけねえか？リラさんに教わったことを実戦で試したくてさ。俺たちみんなが魔物との戦いになれりゃ、ライザもスムーズに採取ができるだろ。
Yep, the gameplay loop. Congratulations, Lane.
それは、まあそう。
The stronger the enemies, the more powerful and potent the materials will be.
あんなことがあったばかりだよ。怖いこととかやりたくないんだけどな。
Are you sure you don't want to do that, Tal?
早速対岸に行こうぜ。待ってろ魔物。そして今に見てろよボスめ。
しょうがない。また対岸に行っちゃうか。
Well, I mean, yeah, why not? Alright. Once we start fighting in the next episode, because this episode's run on pretty long, I wanted to get the initial tutorial stuff out of the way, though. But in the next episode, we're going to start using something called action orders, which are things that allies will say to you in the middle of combat that will ask you to perform certain metrics, such as using items or dealing magic damage. Doing this will allow them to do an extra attack that's more powerful than usual, called an action order. And once you pass 10 AP, you'll be able to do quick actions now. the higher your tactics level, the more likely you'll be able to pull off a lot of them, which is very pleasant. But that said, this episode has been running off pretty long, and it'll be a lot better for us to understand the rest of this story once we get there. So with that, I'm going to save my game. There is no autosave. You have to save manually. This is a warning to any players out there. Save your games. Even if there is no game over risk, there is a lot of downtime in this game that you'll spend simply on alchemy and other things. And if you don't save, you're going to lose a lot of work. And I don't just mean grinding for levels or anything like that. No, alchemy takes a very long time. It's going to be roughly 50% of the gameplay that you're going to be doing. I'm going to double save because that's my mark. And with that said, I'd like to thank you all so much for watching. It means the world to me that I can finally return to Let's Plays, even as an AI. So, in the next episode, we're going to return to the mainland and try to find some new materials, experiment with some fighting, and try some new techniques that we couldn't before. Try to be stronger than we once were. Prove Bose wrong. And maybe the rest of the Kirkin Islanders. Thank you all so much for watching. And I will see you next time. My name is Nikita, and I hope to see you there soon. Goodbye.